Good morning and a very warm welcome. You are watching JanataTelevision and this is English Bulletin with me, Yutsa Bhattrai. The headlines first. Coronavirus claims one more life in Nepal. Recovery rate stands at 64% at present. Transport entrepreneurs propose resuming long route service, express their willingness to cooperate if government supports them. Praise to Ram Janaki Temple criticizes Prime Minister Oli. Cultural experts say Nepal-India band is based on Ram Janaki marriage. Survival rate of COVID-19 ICU patients improved. Studies suggest death rate has dropped by 1/3. And Arsenal dents Liverpool's Premier League point records. Jurgen Klopp says players still need to learn. And now the news in detail. Coronavirus has claimed one more life in Nepal, taking the death toll to 39. Health authorities informed that a 36-year-old man from Pahora municipality in Rautahar district has become the latest victim of coronavirus. He died while undergoing treatment at Chitwan-based Narayani Hospital yesterday afternoon. The victim had returned to Nepal from India last week on July 8 and was kept in quarantine. He was admitted to the hospital after complaining of fever and breathing problem on Monday. Before his death, he had attended a funeral of a close relative who had died of coronavirus in India.
रौतहट जिल्ला परुवा नगरपालिका वडा नम्बर 7 निवासी 36 वर्षका एक पुरुषको आज मिति 2077 असार 31 गते दिउँसो 2:30 बजे उपचारको क्रममा दुःखद निधन भएको छ। उहाँका परिवारका सदस्य कोभिड-19 बाट मृत्यु भएका दाजुको अन्तिम संस्कारका लागि बेंगलोर भारत जानुभएको थियो। मिति 2077 असार 24 गते नेपाल फर्की रौतहटको परोहा क्वारेन्टिनमा बस्नु भएको थियो। निधन हुनेको संख्या 39 पुगेको छ।
Meanwhile, the government has confirmed 116 new cases of coronavirus in the country. The total number of cases has topped 17,177. Among the infected, 11,025 persons have recovered from the disease. It means the recovery rate is 64.2%. Altogether, 697 persons were discharged in the last few days. At present, 6,113 persons are undergoing treatment in isolation at various hospitals. Likewise, the number of people kept in quarantine facilities across the country stands at 24,527. Now, the transport entrepreneurs have expressed their readiness to resume long route vehicles with immediate effect if the government facilitates them. The transport entrepreneurs, who had become agitated with the government's decision to open public transport without any consultations, have now changed their stance after an all-party meeting at the Department of Transport Management. After the meeting of the stakeholders, the transport entrepreneurs have proposed opening long-distance vehicle service. The General Secretary of the National Transport Entrepreneurs Federation, Sorot Sitaula, confirmed the decision. The entrepreneurs have been urging the government to show positive attitude towards the demands.
सवारी चलाउन बैंकरको प्रेसर मजदुरको भोकालाई सबै कुरालाई अझ वैज्ञानिक ढंगबाट परिस्थिति हामीले जिल्ला भनेको अझ प्रदेशमा जानु छ। लामो दूरीको सवारी साधन पनि 77 जिल्लामा चाहिँ चलिसक्यो भने चलाउने वातावरण हो भने लामो दूरीको पनि गाडी चलाइदिउँ भन्ने प्रस्ताव पनि आज हामीले गरेका छौं। प्रदेशको कुरा पनि गरेका छौं। यो विषयमा फेरि हाम्रो छलफल हुन्छ।
The chief of the Metropolitan Traffic Police Division, Bhim Prasad Thakal, said discussions were also about the safety protocols in operating public transport. The all-party meeting made the decision to open transport sector to make travelling easier for the general public while also keeping it safe for them.
जोगाएर यात्रुहरूलाई जोगाएर चाहिँ आवागमनलाई चाहिँ सहज बनाउने सम्बन्धमा सबैको चाहिँ साझा कुरा भएको छ, निर्णय भएको छ र यसलाई हामीले चाहिँ क्रमशः भोलिका दिनबाट क्रमशः चाहिँ यसलाई अगाडि बढाउँछौँ र यो सम्बन्धमा चाहिँ एउटा चाहिँ निर्देशिका, एउटा कार्यविधि त्यो पनि लगभग बनिसकेको छ। त्यसलाई फाइनल गरेर त्यो बमोजिम चाहिँ यो सार्वजनिक सवारी साधनहरूलाई चाहिँ चालु गर्ने र त्यो चालु गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ कुन कुन निकायले के गर्ने भन्ने कुराहरू पनि जिम्मेवारी तोकिएको छ।
The Director General of the Department of Transport Management, Gogan Bahadur Hamal, informed that discussions were also held regarding the safety protocols that must be put in place to reduce the risk of spread of the COVID-19 infection from public transport. The representatives of the Transport Office, transport entrepreneurs, representatives from all local levels of Kathmandu Valley, Chief of Traffic Police, Labour Trade Unions representatives and representatives of the Health Ministry were present at the meeting. The priest of Ram Janaki Temple of Janakpur Dham has criticised Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli for his controversial remark that Lord Ram was born in Nepal. Prime Minister Oli had courted controversy earlier this week for claiming that Lord Ram was born in Nepal instead of India. Oli made such remark while speaking at a program organised during Bhanu Jayanti on Monday. He claimed that Lord Ram was born in Thori of Parsa and not in India's Ayodhya. Cultural experts have started criticising the Prime Minister over his remark. Priest of Ram Janaki Temple, Ram Tapeshwar Das Vaishnav, informed that Ayodhya has remained in India since the Treta Yuga. He clarified that some areas mentioned in the ancient scriptures fall in Nepal, but the birthplace of Lord Ram has always remained in Uttar Pradesh of India since time immemorial. According to another priest, Ram Giri, Nepal-India relationship has been defined by the marriage between Lord Ram and goddess Sita since the ancient period. Meanwhile, some religious leaders of India have warned that they will not take the issue lightly. This is Janata Bulletin. We'll be right back after a short break. Welcome back. We continue with other national news. 228 families from Dharapani and Kafaltada of Dhaulagiri Rural Municipality, Ward number 7, have been displaced due to floods and landslides. The incessant rainfall since the past few days has forced these families to move away from the high-risk areas. The ward chairman Kalinidhi Subedi informed that 72 families from Dharapani, 150 from Takama and 6 families from Kafaldara have been displaced. Dharapani, Antebhir, Deubaja, Arkhola and other areas are the areas most affected by landslides. Takam school building and health post has been damaged by landslide. Ward Chairman Subedi informed that 5 more houses have been damaged due to the landslide. The crops planted in 100 acres of land in Kimichaur and Bakri Chaur have been destroyed by the floods and landslide. The whole of Kapaldara village, where 6 houses have been displaced, is under high risk of landslide. Gopal Baraili of Dharapani informed that a family of 10 has been living in makeshift tents on the premises of their own house after rainfall caused the land of their house to sink. More than 300 people of Dharapani region have been living outside their homes since Friday due to high risk of landslides. The Sustainable Development and Good Governance Committee of the National Assembly has directed the government to make online learning more effective to help the education sector recover from the COVID-19's effect. The committee has said that although the online classes and online learning mechanisms have been put in place, there has been no increase in their effectiveness. President of the committee, Tara Devi Bhatta, said that the effectiveness of these online classes has not even been felt in city and urban areas, let alone the rural villages where the students have very little access to online technology, if any at all. The committee has directed the government to make changes to the Secondary Education Act and Higher Secondary Education Act in the current situation. President Potter informed that the committee directed the government to change these acts made nearly 49 years ago because they cannot make adjustments to the education system that exists today. The committee has also directed the government to make the payment of 13,000 rupees to the child educators and teachers, which is guaranteed by the law. President Potter said currently the child educators are only being paid around 6,000 rupees and therefore the decision to direct the government to make payments was made. A parliamentary committee has directed the government to appoint staffers at the National Women's Commission. The Women and Social Committee of the Lower House directed the government to immediately appoint the chairman and other office bearers at the Women's Commission, citing difficulties to conduct policy-level works. Similarly, the committee has also urged the Ministry of Women, Children and Senior Citizens to make necessary coordination with the National Women's Commission for the recruitment of the office bearers. The National Women's Commission works for sensitive but crucial issues such as gender justice, gender equality and women empowerment. Committee Chairman Neeru Devi Pal said the works have come to a halt due to the lack of office bearers at the Commission. Many of the constitutional commissions have been performing their duties in rented buildings, adding extra burden to government's expenses. The committee concluded that the government will be urged and the Ministry of Urban Development will be also requested to make arrangements for such commissions to operate from empty buildings under government ownership. And now the news from Economic Front. Banks and financial institutions have decided to charge fees on electronic transactions, including interbank cash withdrawals, starting from today. Banks and financial institutions earlier provided waiver on fees and other charges on all banking-related electronic transactions to their customers during the lockdown period. Nepal Bankers Association, Development Bankers Association Nepal and Nepal Finance Institutions Association jointly issued a statement yesterday informing that complete waiver on fees and charges for electronic transactions, including cash withdrawals from the ATMs of any bank, will be subject to the decision of individual institutions starting from today. The decision regarding the fees via internet transaction will also be decided by Nepal Clearing House Limited, the notice further stated. We'll be taking a short break here at Janata Bulletin. Stay tuned for international and sports news. Welcome back, and now the international news. The death rate of COVID-19 intensive care patients has dropped by about 1/3 since the start of the pandemic, Reuters reported. According to the news agency, a review of published studies found that the drop in death rate was partly due to better hospital care. The global analysis of 24 observational studies of COVID-19 was published on Wednesday in the journal Anastasia. The research, led by Professor Tim Cook of England's Royal United Hospitals, Bath, found the overall mortality rate of COVID-19 patients in intensive care units has fallen from almost 60% since the end of March to 42% at the end of May. The rate was not significantly different across Europe, Asia, and North America. Study authors offered several explanations, including rapid learning that has taken place on a global scale due to the prompt publication of clinical reports early in the pandemic. They also suggested that hospital ICUs might have been under greater pressure early in the pandemic. Doctors have reported progress in learning enough about the highly contagious virus to have a better grasp of key problems for many patients, although much work remains to be done on the development of treatments and preventive vaccines. The UN Environment Chief said Wednesday that time is running out to avert an environmental, economic and humanitarian catastrophe from a deteriorating oil tanker loaded with 1.1 million barrels of crude oil off the coast of Yemen. According to the Associated Press, Inger Anderson told the UN Security Council that an oil spill from the FSO Safer, which hasn't been maintained for over 5 years, would wreck ecosystems and livelihoods for decades. Prevention of such a crisis from deteriorating is really the only option, he said. Despite the difficult operational context, no effort should be spared to first conduct a technical assessment and initial light repairs. Houthi rebels who control the area where the ship is anchored have denied UN inspectors access to the vessel. Internal documents obtained by the Associated Press last month show that seawater has entered the engine compartment of the tanker, causing damage to pipes and increasing the risk of sinking. The Japanese-built tanker was sold to the Yemeni government in 1980s to store up to 3 million barrels of oil. You are watching Janata Bulletin, and now the latest from the world of sports. Liverpool has missed the opportunity of breaking the Premier League point record as Van Dijk and Alisson Becker's era gifted host Arsenal with a 2-1 victory. Sadio Mane's lead at the 20th minute had set the Reds on courses for one of the 3 victories they needed to surpass Manchester City's record 100-point haul at the Emirates, but failed. But the bedlock of Liverpool's title triumph handed Arsenal a half-time lead as a rare Van Dijk and Alisson mistakes were ruthlessly punished by Alexander Lacazette and Reiss Nelson's first Premier League goal, Sky Sports reported. Although the new champions bounced back with an improved performance in the first half, they failed to avoid the 3rd defeat of the season. With this, Arsenal has climbed to the 9th in the Premier League and managed their first victory over Jurgen Klopp's side in 5 years. Liverpool are scheduled to receive the trophy and medals at Anfield next week after the game with Chelsea. BBC quoted Liverpool's manager Jurgen Klopp as saying, "We have to learn from it 100%. Today, Manchester United will play Crystal Palace and Leicester will face Sheffield United to keep their top 4 hopes alive." We are at the end of Janata Bulletin, and the headlines once again. Coronavirus claims 1 more life in Nepal. Recovery rate stands at 64% at present. Transport entrepreneurs propose resuming long route service, express their willingness to cooperate if the government supports them. Priest of Ram Janaki Temple criticizes Prime Minister Oli. Cultural experts say Nepal-India bond is based on Ram Janaki marriage. Survival rate of COVID-19 ICU patients has improved. Studies suggest a death rate has dropped by 1/3. And Arsenal dents Liverpool's Premier League point records. Jurgen Klopp says players still need to learn. And that's all from the English News Desk for today. You can follow Janata Television and our programs on various social media platforms, including on our website at janatasamatra.com. We urge all our viewers to follow government directives of the lockdown and follow healthy hygienic practices to keep safe from any infection. Keep washing your hands, keep watching Janata Television. Namaste.